Hey, what's up guys? Marc Brunet here and welcome to my new series on world building. So the world in question is going to be this thing right here, Chroma Island. And what I want to do with this series, which is going to span, multiple months, maybe a year or two, is to take you guys along for the ride for kind of like the bigger project behind all this, which is going to be a book project. So I want to put together kind of like an encyclopedia for Chroma Island, and so a lot of content will need to be designed for that to be a reality. So all the different types of living being, creatures, different types of people, locations, and I want to take you guys along for that ride, hopefully show kind of the whole process, from start to finish when it comes to creating a book, putting together a world, a coherent world, something that feels pretty interesting, hopefully. And so this is what this series is about. Let's get started with the first episode. Alright, so what I wanted to do with this first episode is to introduce the first two tribes that are going to be found on this island. So the red people and the green people. Chroma Island obviously takes its name from the fact that most of the things that are going to live on it will be really heavily focused on color, and so there we have it, the red and green people. And the way that I want to kind of structure these episodes will be to focus every week on something different from the island. So different types of creatures. Maybe next week will be a different environment, different types of props, of plants and things like that, and not only kind of explain the context so that you can hopefully get a better idea of what the world is about and how it actually kind of works together, but also obviously explain what I'm doing on a more technical side so that you can hopefully along the way pick up a couple of skills to make your own art better. So there is going to be one episode per week on top of the other types of videos on the channel. And so there we go. So now onto the main topic of this video, the design process for the green people and the red people. The green people, which is going to be the ones that we start with, live somewhere around here on the island. So they are kind of a tribe that is really one with nature. That's why they are represented by the color green, and they try to maintain the balance of the forest, the balance of the nature around them. And so anything that kind of comes and tries to disturb that obviously is going to be a problem for them. And we'll see there's going to be plenty of that happening. So what I wanted with them really is to be the one peaceful kind of tribe on the island. So they don't have any ill intentions. They're just kind of there, happy, friendly, and they just want to live their life and have a good time and just kind of maintain what is already there, what's already established. As natives on the island have been there probably for a while, and I'm not sure exactly how they got there or how long they've been there. But their first encounter with kind of a species or a race that is not from the island, that is kind of invading the island, is going to be with the red people. And so I am really looking forward to kind of designing the future conflicts that's going to happen with those two tribes. But for now, we're not there yet. So I just want to, at the very beginning, get started with their base people, right? So I'm not going to start working on characters that are like hero characters or special characters or things like that. I want kind of like the baseline for their race, for their tribe, and this is what I'm designing right now. So those all those green, well, they're not green right now, but all the design right there is going to be for kind of like the average green person. So we have like a basic female, basic male, one male that is a little bit more buff. Because what I'm thinking with their lifestyle, and that's something that I highly recommend also, is whenever you're designing something, try to have as much of a background for them as possible. It just really helps to make things coherent, especially if you're designing multiple characters, which is, well, my case here. So I have a kind of like a big background story for all of them. I'm not going to go through that in this episode because that would probably take too long. But I'll sprinkle more and more details along the way as I design different characters, different things for their village, for their tribe. But I will say this about their lifestyle, which is a little bit interesting. So they have a life that's pretty similar to our own. They are born as babies, and then they grow old, and then they die eventually. And then they have regular parents, male, female most of the time, and it's just kind of a happy tribe. And as they get older, they don't they get stronger. So they don't get weaker, they actually get stronger with age. So the older green people are pretty awesome. And this is going to be one of those examples right here, the guy that's really, really buff. So as they get older, as they eat a lot, and they can get pretty old. You know, I'm thinking about 300 years old is probably the upper limit. But those that achieve that age, right, those that can reach that age, they start to develop kind of this exoskeleton on them, and it's not armor, it's just built onto their own body, and they get stronger, bigger, they develop some sort of magic as well. And so they are there to kind of protect everybody else. So the elders are there to protect the people, not only with their wisdom but also physically. And what I want to do with this lineup here at the beginning is really to have kind of a range of average people, so to really understand what their village might look like, right? So I'm not going to be focusing on any hero characters or special characters. Instead, I'm focusing on the average Joe, just regular village people, so that I have a good understanding, a good idea of what their village might look like. What I think is awesome about this approach is that I don't put any stress on myself too much, because I don't really care if any of these characters doesn't stand out, like crazy, because they're not meant to stand out. They don't need to look epic. They just need to look all right and have maybe, a particular way of dressing up, which is what I'm focusing on right now. But that's it. So from here, once I have that baseline, I'll be able to then take maybe different characters here, or imagine different characters, like maybe they're eldest warrior, right? So the one that's the most badass. Right here, what I'm working on is just kind of like an average one. So maybe somebody that's kind of old, but not the oldest person. And so what does that look like when somebody is at their oldest? Maybe they have a princess, maybe they have a queen, things like that. So those hero characters I'll be able to develop later, and that's going to be a lot easier once I have this base here to start from. So in the end, really what I'm going to do here is just add a splash of color. So you've seen the process, it's pretty straightforward. I just start with the line art, the naked character for the line art, and then I dress them up, and then there we go. So we're going to have 4 layers in total. So 2 layers for the line art, so the line art for the body, line art for the outfit, and then 2 flat layers to go along with those. And the flat layers really is just, it's flat colors, that's as simple as that. I place those underneath the line art layer, and also I add 2 different types of layer styles you can see here on the right. So a gradient overlay, which is going to be just a soft gradient from the bottom to the top of the character, where the bottom will be a little bit darker. So just adding a little bit of darker colors towards the bottom. And on top of that, inner glow, which is going to add a little bit of fake shading on the outside of the silhouette. It looks kind of cool, and it's kind of like free shading. So that's as simple as this is. So I'm pretty satisfied with my lineup here of green people. I think they look pretty cool. They look different, humanoids, but different. And I'm going to move on to the red people. So this is where the red people are located. They are at the top of the island here, or I don't know if this is the top, but it's one of the peaks of the island, and they're right below that red orb, which is very much at the center of their life. So I'm not exactly sure how they got on the island, but probably thanks to it. So they're not natives from there. They may be like teleported, kind of like Protoss in StarCraft, something like that. But anyways, it also serves not only as maybe their transportation device, but also as their life support. So they can live forever as long as they are in proximity of that of the orb, as long as they're close enough for the effect to to manifest, right? So if they go too far, they probably start dying, like regular people. But as long as they're close to it, they can live forever, unless they're killed. So what I want to do with the red people is to try and do something as different as possible from the green people. So the green people are very one with nature. They don't eat animals, they eat just plants and fruits and things like that. The red people, they don't really care. They're carnivores, so they eat meat. That's probably also why they came to the island, because they probably ran out of food on their home planet, or their home islands, if it's a different island, who knows. And so they eat meat, and maybe they'll have a taste for green people. Who knows? Maybe green people taste pretty good. So all of this to say that I want this tribe to be a little bit more aggressive. Think of them as lions almost, right? So lions in nature. The lions, they're not evil, they just want to survive, so it's the same as them. Now a little bit of context behind kind of their life, like similar to what I did with the green people. their life is a little bit different. So they're not born as children, they're born as full-grown adults, and they're not really born, they're more like summoned into existence. So I'm thinking that this is probably a ritual that happens, close to the red orb, so maybe directly underneath it. Maybe this is some sort of like a monument that communicates with the red orb. To create a new person, they need, probably an elder, somebody that's, that can conduct the ritual, but also they need crystals. So the red orb, is there to extend their life, but in and of itself, it can't create life. So to create life in the first place, they need those crystals, and you can probably see it on the forehead of the female there, that little thing. Those crystals basically are embedded into the females when they're born. So the females are the only ones that are born with crystals, and it's the same crystals that they offer, for the ritual. So when a person is born, if it's a male, the male will be born out of the crystal kind of just disappears, and the male is not going to have anything. So the males just live forever, and that's it. But the females are born as hosts for those crystals. So whenever it's a female that is born, which is the case most of the time, they're born with those crystals, and they kind of grow up with them. And when the crystals get too big, too mature, after many years, they become overwhelming for their host, and so their host will transform into like a berserk female, which is what this thing would be. So obviously that's bad for the tribe. So what they do is sometimes before they actually transform, when they can kind of feel it coming, they either just commit suicide or sacrifice themselves, or maybe when they do transform, the males need to come in and kind of terminate the berserk females to then be able to extract the mature crystal, and then eventually be able to summon new red people into existence. So that's kind of like the life cycle that I'm thinking about. It's I'm explaining it really quickly, really simply. I'll probably expand on that. We'll probably take a look at the environment or the location where all of that ritual happens. Maybe I'll eventually illustrate the ritual, who knows. But that's kind of the main background story that I have for these people. So just males and females live forever, and the female have kind of tragic life where they grow old, and then they eventually transform into a monster that has to be killed. So for that reason, this whole story here that I'm creating is not just for fun. It's also going to impact the design of my character. So that's the whole purpose. That's the main idea behind all this, is to influence or give me ideas for the design of the characters and their outfit more specifically. Because right now what I'm thinking is that since the males, they are the one that needs to be strong, they're the ones that need to kill those monsters when they transform. Well, they're probably going to need some sort of armor, and so the males will be in full armor, and the females, on the other hand, they are kind of the victim, right, in all of this. They live a much shorter life than the males, especially since the males can live forever. And so their entire life, they're pampered, right? So they live like royalty almost. And so the females will have kind of like these nice clothes, comfortable, everything to make their life as easy, as pleasant as possible before it is stopped short when they do transform. So there we go. I have my lineup here. The same process here applied again, so I'm not going to go over kind of the different layers and all that stuff. It's the same as the green people. But this is the final lineup that I have, so I'm pretty happy. Again, this is meant to be just kind of base people, right? So an average male, average female, average berserk female, and then from there I can expand and maybe create like the heroes for that tribe. So maybe the eldest, what it looks like, what's a berserk female when she's not killed right away, because I'm thinking that this crystal just keeps growing and making the character, or making the berserk, or making the female even more of a monster. Maybe it grows bigger and bigger and bigger and stronger if it's not killed right away. Who knows, right? So those are all things that I'm starting to think about. I'll probably get to design those, and it's exciting. So that's the whole purpose of doing this lineup here. None of these are particularly exciting, but it's giving me a ton of awesome ideas for the future. So there we have it. Red people, green people. And really quickly to wrap this up, here is a quick block out of the red people's village. So right under that big red orb at the top of the mountain. And yeah, so this was done really quickly, maybe like an hour total. And it's just to give me kind of an idea of what their lives might look like. And before I wrap up this video, I quickly wanted to mention Art School. For those who might not be aware of what this is, it's a massive online art school program that I've put together so that anyone from the comfort of your own home can learn how to become an artist, digital artist more specifically. Everything that I've done in this video, everything that I'll be doing in the future videos, this is all content that you can learn. This is all content that I teach within the Art School program. So I really highly encourage you to check it out if you're interested, or if it piques your curiosity. You can learn more about it by clicking the link in the description below or right here in the top right corner of the video. So I do hope you check it out, and that is going to be a wrap for this video. So in the next episode, we're going to be focusing on the Red Princess, so one of the first unique characters I'll be developing. But that is going to be it for this episode. Thanks so much for watching, and make sure that you subscribe and hit that bell button to make sure that you don't miss the next episode as soon as it goes live. Alright guys, I'll see you next time.